Hey everyone, I'm going to go over the new and not so exciting news that we have for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak on both the Nintendo Switch and on PC. And that's the fact that after free title update number 2 or patch version 12.00, people started to kind of notice that gesture slash poses spam ended up being removed outright from the game. This is something that not only people started posting around on Twitter and social media, but also people hit me up in the comments asking me just what the heck was going on. Why did they remove something that people were essentially doing at the pretty much end of a hunt, messing around with poses and different gestures and stuff, and kind of like spamming them to do little quirky movements and stuff like that with their hunter. Essentially what was going on. It seems like not only did people notice, but Capcom finally heard enough of the complaints that they had to provide a response. Now, originally, for the Japanese Twitter post, essentially a user called, I'm going to leave a link in the description below for their tweets, essentially a user called Kohaku Utakata reached out to Capcom to essentially provide us with some details as to why the gesture spam ended up being removed. So that led to the official Twitter account in Japan to provide some details, and of course the official Monster Hunter Twitter account in English ended up translating it as well, so we're going to be going over both. On the English version's post, they simply said, "We've also identified an issue where using gestures and poses in quick succession can put a heavy tax on the lobby. We've restricted this in version 12.0, but we'll continue to look into ways of allowing it as many inputs as possible whilst maintaining stability." Suzuki, the director of Sunbreak. And this is pretty much the same copied version of the Japanese post, so I'm not going to try to translate that. So basically what happened was the user Kohaku Utakata asked them basically point blank, what is going on? Why was this removed? And Capcom provided them a direct response. And it basically suggests that there is, in the wording that they put in English, it says some sort of stability in the lobby. But what they turn out and say in the Japanese version of their post is that there's basically some sort of connection error happening if you use it too much. So basically this is turning out to be a situation where people were not necessarily having a good time when someone decided to spam it or abuse it. And it turns out after a little bit of sleuthing on my side, I ended up finding a video kind of showcasing exactly what the case is. So I'm going to be posting a link in the video description below for a video from a user called Seiku Ryu. He's using the PC version of the game prior to free title update number 2, so he's using title update 1.1 or earlier. And essentially what he showcases is that they're just sitting there fighting an Allmother and stuff, nothing necessarily too revelatory. But after they end up killing the Allmother, what he ends up doing is actually spamming the gestures and poses. And what you're going to notice is that pretty much the other 3 hunters in the lobby, as he's just kind of like instantly spamming that thing, they all just kind of disappear. And then all of a sudden, he ends up getting a notification after probably spamming it for about, I want to say 15 to 20 seconds, that your friends, yada yada, and their username has withdrawn from the quest. So basically, they get kicked from the lobby automatically because he's spamming gestures and poses. And that is the reason why Capcom decided to remove it. They didn't necessarily remove it because, you know, they thought it was some sort of glitch originally or anything like that. It seems like people might have actually been abusing it to crash others outside of a lobby. Now, if I remember correctly, or the way this actually works, is that if you get disconnected from a lobby or anything like that in a multiplayer environment, you simply get tossed into a single player hunt. So it's not like you're going to lose out on the reward. For example, specifically in what he showcased right there, they killed the Allmother and then he does the spam. So people are going to be able to carve that Allmother already. Like they're not getting the rewards or anything like that. But it would be a situation like if you did that in the middle of a hunt, essentially go from 4 players to just a single player, and then you have to kill the monster by yourself for the rest of the hunt. So it's not like you're losing out on anything, but obviously you don't want people abusing that kind of mechanic that simply probably wasn't meant to be there in the first place. So another thing Capcom could have decided to do was simply limit the spam from, like, you know, instant to probably something along the lines of 0.2 seconds, 0.5 seconds, maybe even let you change poses or gestures every second or so. They could certainly have limited it, but it turns out like they just didn't necessarily care to have it live, and they just flat out removed the option to spam it altogether. So kind of like if you spam like the little images and stuff, the stickers, I think you can only spam like 5 or 6 in a row, and then it just tells you cannot spam anymore. I think they could have done something along those lines where they could just limit it to a certain degree, but they chose not to, and they just flat out removed the option to be able to do it altogether. So if you were wondering, I know some people were hitting me up in the comments asking me just why did they decide to remove it. This is the reason why. On PC, at the very least, people were getting crashed because of this thing. We don't have any record that it was happening on the Nintendo Switch, but it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if it was happening in the same manner, since of course it's the same game code and most likely the same connection status. So that is the big secret that we finally have an answer to as to why it was removed. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. Links in the description below for all the sources, and if you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!